What's going on out there, good people, and welcome back to LMD Trading, where I am living my dream trading. Man, it was bound to happen, but it didn't need to happen like this today, y'all. As the title says, we are sitting down to do a red day recap on a day that just started off wrong from the very first trade. From the very first trade today that I took, it was just downhill from there. Let's go ahead. Let's bring up TRADERVUE. We're going to look at these numbers and we're going to talk about this thing. Reviewing trades for February 7th, Tuesday. Took 5 trades today. Closed P&L negative 221. Took 5 trades today, 3 reds, 2 greens. I look at that in TRADERVUE and it just makes me shake my head. It makes me realize that I need to implement something in my trading. And most of y'all know that I work in the airline industry part-time. And there's times where I need to get in a cockpit and move a plane. And when I move this plane, I have something that I have to use. And I've been doing this job now going on 8 years. But every time I get in a cockpit to move a plane, I have to have this piece of paper. And it's something that pilots who've been on the job 20, 30 years, you have pilots, recreational pilots, they've been flying 50 years. They have to implement this same thing. And it's called a checklist. A simple piece of paper would have saved me so much heartache this morning. I pulled up a couple of checklists for pilots. This is something that a pilot has to run through every time they sit in the cockpit of a plane and they get ready to take off. Simple things, such as starting a plane. There's a checklist that they have to follow. After they take off, there's another checklist that they have to follow. This one here is for Cessna 172. This is what most private pilot, most recreational pilots fly and they actually learn in. Before start, checklist. Engine start, checklist. Before taxi, another checklist. Let's look here. Here's another one. You see the pattern. Depending on the make and model of that plane, there's a checklist that a pilot has to follow every time so that he does not miss a step. And this one here is for a jumbo jet, 747. Climb, things that they have to make sure is in place. After landing, things they have to make sure they're securing as they taxi in. And then there's things that pilots have to remember that's just muscle memory. It's just ingrained in them over time, being in flight simulators and simulating emergencies. There's those that are just locked in their head. They don't have to look at a piece of paper. It's locked in their muscle memory. For me, trading these options, I need to put a checklist together. I was going to go through the recap, or not the recap, but I was going to review the video, but I don't think it's necessary today. Don't think it's necessary to review it. I'm going to just pull up the screen for it real quick, and then we're going to jump straight into ThinkorSwim. I'm only going to review that first trade on Meta, and then I'll review the Apple trades. But this was my recording from this morning. You see 9:41. You see I have NVDA's charts pulled up, and you look over here, and I got a Meta contract pulled up. I did not want to trade Meta. That first trade that you saw that I took that big loss on. I wanted to be trading an NVDA put on what I call an excellent strategy that I've come up with. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all are used to an ABCD pattern that's out there. Well, what I've created is what's known as the LMD ABCD pattern, where you have the A point, the B point, the C point, and the D point is when you enter right there. That is something that I kind of been looking at and just studying up, trying to see if I look at a chart and this pattern is forming, how many times does that pattern actually work? So that was my layout this morning. A checklist would have had me confirm that NVDA was loaded right there. But I'm going to jump right on into these charts. Got the SPY pulled up real quick. Look at this roller coaster. That was Jerome Powell speaking this afternoon. He sent the SPY up on a roller coaster. Just a quick little note here. We see that the SPY was in this hourly down channel. That's this purple or magenta channel. And then the SPY is also in a bigger uptrend. It's in a bigger uptrend. So it got out of that channel. It came back, tested the bottom of it. And then we see this afternoon, it broke out strong. And it's holding higher on that 20 moving average. So it's looking good for the SPY to go higher. But what I want to do, I'm going to pull up NVDA's chart. I already have Meta's contract. This is the one that I was in. This is the NVDA contract that I wanted to be in. And what I'm going to do, let me unlink this. And I'm going to bring Meta's chart up here just so we have Meta's chart, Meta's option chart, NVDA's chart, NVDA's option chart. So, and I actually have done this recap and I'm going back redoing it because I didn't like something that I had put in there. But this is Meta's chart, NVDA's chart. And again, this is the pattern that I've been studying on. It's the A, B, C. I want to get in right there on D. Let's look and see where we were getting in on this contract. 939, paid 373. 939, 373 is right there. Let's find 939 down here. 939, look at that. Right where I want to be getting in at, just about in the middle of that candle where I want to be getting in at. Now, this didn't make the move like I totally wanted it to do, but this trade still would have paid, y'all. Let's come over here, 939. Let me change that to a 1 minute. I'm like, why is there so many candles that don't look right? There we go. So 939 right there. And what I want you to see is that NVDA is setting up to go down lower. And look at Meta. Meta is setting up to go higher. Meta is setting up to go higher. Now let's come over here and let's look at 939, where we would have been buying on the NVDA contract that we should have been getting in. So it probably would have been getting in right around there, 505, somewhere around there. Let's look at the high of this candle. High of that candle is 555. Now, something else that I did do is I sized up. Usually I'm buying 2 or 3 contracts. I bought 4 contracts because I had conviction in this move. Now, one thing is you do see that 20 moving average right there. So that might act as a little bit of resistance to keep this from going lower. But that still was a good looking trade. So again, say we're getting in at 505. This thing is setting a high of 555. 4 contracts, that's $200. Now, would I have made all 200? Possibly not. But I will tell you, I would have made a minimum of $100 on this trade, because that's what I look for out of most of my trades. If you have not noticed, I try to at least lock in that $100, especially if I'm sized in with a few contracts. So that's what happened today. And then I just ended up just getting out of that one for whatever that loss was on that trade. But yeah, that's where we went wrong on that trade. Let's go ahead and look at Apple real quick. Let's look at Apple. First trade, we lost $72 on. Let's come on over here. Let's change this to 5 minute and let's lock it in. And there we go. And this was a bad trade, y'all. This was a bad trade. Actually, first video I made, I'm gonna keep it that way. I'll keep it that way. So this was the first entry right here. This is where I got in at. On a call. Buying a call. This particular area of a chart is called no man's land. This is where I don't need to be taking a trade. I'm gonna get rid of this drawing. And I'm going to show you. I'll remove these just so they're not distracting me because I keep looking at them. I'm going to show you how I draw this before any of this is even formed. So if you remember my ABCD, that's A. Up. Let me delete the arrow and switch this back over to a trend line. So this is A. This is B. I will draw this before any of this has even formed. I draw this when I get this lower low. Because you see, this should have set a higher low off of this one. So it's set it about even. So I'll drop that line right there. I'll come and I'll redraw it as a channel. And now, you see that's no man's land. I don't need to take a trade there. Even if this candle breaks the high of that candle, I don't need to take the trade. And you see, I got in on that candle. That's where I got in this trade at. So when it was breaking the high, but this is no man's land. Now, if this candle would have broken the high, now I'm out of this zone. And this is something that, like I say, studying this new strategy, I've kind of determined I don't want to take trades in this no man's land. I took that trade. That thing came back in the same candle and stopped me out. Because you don't know if you're transitioning to go higher. You don't know if you're transitioning to go lower. This one particularly did go lower. I'm going to extend it to the right. So now you see how it's that simple. Boom, boom. I drop and redraw it down there. Now I'm seeing this is that transition period. This here, that could be a good entry. Let's see where we actually got in on the put. So we're getting in on this candle. Look at that. Getting in as it's making this move. We get out. We stay in this thing too long. We get out right there. Again, I like this pattern. I'm sized up. I got 4 contracts. So we got in at 121. What's the high of that? The high of that is 135. So 4 contracts, let's say $15. That's 60. Could have made about $55. Managing this out to down here. Expectation. That's expectation. Don't try to ride this back through. Now, I said that this was a good trade. I say this was a good trade, but then I came back and I said this was not a good trade. And in the video that I just did, I said I was going to mention why it wasn't a good trade. But the first person that's in the comments that could tell me why this was not a good trade, this one right here, I'll send you a mouse pad. I got a couple of different style mouse pads that I have. I can either pick one or I can show you 3 and you can pick the one that you want and I'll mail it to you free of charge for you. If you could tell me why that was a bad trade. But those are the ones that I want to recap today. I kind of figured that this would be a little longer with the with putting that intro in there on those checklists. But that's something that I'm about to work on when I finish making this video, is just make me a little flashcard checklist that I could have sitting on my desk. 4 or 5 points. Confirm you got the right chart pulled up. Confirm you have the right option contract pulled up. Confirm you have the right quantity of puts or calls that you want to buy, so that it is very easy to not do what I did today, so that I can be in a position to make money and not just donate to the cause like we did today. But on that note, I appreciate y'all checking me out. If you haven't already hit that like button, please do so. If you're not subscribed, please think about subscribing. And as always, we can continue the conversation in the comments. And like I said, anybody that can tell me why that was a bad trade, based on why I think it was a bad trade. You may have your reasoning for thinking it was a bad trade, but I'm going to be looking for the reason that I think it's a bad trade. And if I don't see a comment in the next couple of days, or actually tomorrow, I may just mention like, okay, that's why that was a bad trade. But on that note, thanks for checking me out. And we will be back at this thing tomorrow. Get back on that green path. Peace.